LawSikho's thorough newspaper analysis for 21st of November 2023. Okay, chalo. Starting with the today's agenda of the day, we'll be discussing about why High Court has struck down Haryana's private sector quota and what happens now, which we have taken from the Indian Express. Then we'll be talking about some interesting news update, and lastly, the legal news update of the day, which is coming from Honorable Supreme Court of India. चले चलिए आज के एडिटोरियल सेक्शन की तरफ बढ़ते हैं, जहां पर हम ये बात करेंगे that why Punjab and Haryana High Court on Friday, that is November 17th, has struck down Haryana's private sector quota and what happens now. So what has happened is that the Punjab and the Haryana High Court, which is on Friday, that is 17th of November, has quashed a law passed by Haryana government in 2020, which provided, now what it has provided 75% reservation in private job to the residents of the state. So there was a bill that was passed in which 75% of job was given to the residents of the state. Now, a government cannot discriminate against individuals simply because they do not belong to that state, and the High Court has specified in that particular order. Now, let us talk about the bench that was there. So, the bench, Honorable Justice G.S. Sandwalia, Harpreet Kaur Chiwan, held that Haryana State Employment of Local Candidates Act 2020 is being violative of the Constitution of Part 3, that is fundamental rights. And in its 83-page ruling, the court has stated that law would be ineffective from the date it came into force. So law would be ineffective from the date it would be came into force. ये रहा Punjab and Haryana High Court का verdict. Now, we'll be discussing about what was this law all about. Okay. So the bill passed by the Haryana Assembly in November 2020. Okay, it was passed in November 2020. What it did is it reserved 75% jobs in the private sector that offered a monthly salary of less than 30,000. Originally, it was 50,000, which was reserved for the residents of Haryana. पहला ये consideration ये है कि 75% जॉब रिजर्व रहेगी. कौन से सेक्टर में रिजर्व रहेगी? प्राइवेट सेक्टर में रिजर्व रहेगी. ठीक है. नाउ द बिल रिसीव द गवर्नर assent on March 2nd 2021 and it came into force in the year 2022 January 15th. ठीक है. चले अब आती है earlier in November 2019 the Andhra Pradesh Assembly had passed Andhra Pradesh Employment of Local Candidate in the Industries and Factories Bill, they also reserve 3/4 of jobs for local candidate within 3 years of commencement of the act. Okay. Now, this particular Andhra Pradesh law was challenged in Andhra Pradesh High Court, which observed that it may be unconstitutional. However, the challenge is yet to be heard on merits. ठीक है, चलिए. अब ये बात आती है कि पर्टिकुलर लॉ को किसने चैलेंज किया और कौन से ग्राउंड पे चैलेंज किया. ओके, सो हु चैलेंज्ड इट? Faridabad Industries Association and Haryana Based Association went to court contending that Haryana wanted to create reservation in the private sector by introducing the policy of sons of the soil, which was an infringement of the constitutional right of employers. ठीक है. Now, what did the petitioners argue? Petitioners argued that private jobs are purely based on skill, analytics, and employers have a fundamental right to work in any part of India, whether it is Haryana, Delhi, or southern parts of the state. Therefore, the act of the respondent, which is the Haryana government, forcing the employers to employ local candidates of Haryana in private sector is violation of federal structure framed by the Constitution of India, whereby the government cannot act contrary to public interest and cannot benefit one class. Haryana government argued that it had the power to create such reservations under Article 16, subclause 4 of the Constitution, which says that the right to equality in public employment does not prevent the state from making any provision for reservation and appointment posed in favor of backward class of citizens, which in the opinion of state is not clearly represented in services under the state. So what did the petitioners argued? That it is violative of the Constitution of India. And what Haryana government argued is based on Article 16, subclause 4 of the Constitution of India. Right? Now, all companies, societies, trust, LLP, partnership were covered under the Act. Okay, so whether it is individual, corporate, whether it is, LLPs, whether it is partnership firm, any person employing 10 or more people on salary, wages, or other remuneration for manufacturing or providing any service, as well as any entity that may be notified by the government, were included. So whether it is a small organization or big organization, everybody was included. However, central or state government or organization owned by them were kept outside the ambit of this particular act. So central government, state government for that matter, or the organizations which are owned by them were kept outside. So according to the law, candidate domicile in state of Haryana, called a local candidate, could avail of the reservation after registering themselves on designated portal. Okay, employers could apply for an exemption under the act, but entailed a long procedure and required government appointed officers to believe the employer exemption held the request was under merit. So it had a very cumbersome requirement, procedural cumbersome requirement. Now, when it comes to Punjab and Haryana court ruling, so Punjab and Haryana court ruling stated that Section 6, which required employers to submit quarterly report, details of the local candidate. Section 8, under which authorized officers could call for documents or verification to ensure the law has been implemented of the act, amounted to Inspector Raj, and that private employees were being put under the state anvil on whom to employ. So the court ruled that the state action amounted to exercising absolute control over a private employer, which is forbidden for public employment. So the restrictions were gross to the extent that a right to carry on occupation, trade and profession, which is provided under Article 19, subclause 1G of the Constitution, was held impaired. Okay, the court stated that the state cannot such discriminate against the individual on account of the fact that they do not belong to that particular state. Now, so High Court has struck down that particular bill. Now, what is happening now? So High Court has stayed this law in an interim order earlier on February 3rd, 2022, and the Supreme Court bench had said the High Court has not given sufficient reason for staying the legislation. The Supreme Court had directed the High Court to decide the validity of the act within 4 weeks. Okay, so it has been decided that it should decide the validity of this particular act within 4 weeks. Right, guys? So I think it was a very interesting editorial where we talked about the Haryana reservation bill, where private sector was reserved up to 75%. Right? चलिए चलते हैं नेशनल न्यूज की तरफ. यूपी बिहार रिप्लेस केरला एज टॉप कंट्रीब्यूटर ऑफ वर्कफोर्स टू जीसीसी, दैट इज गल्फ कोऑपरेशन काउंसिल कंट्रीज. सो there has been a significant shift in the pattern of the migration of Indian workers, where in the countries Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and UAE, with Kerala typically the biggest contributor to blue collar workers, seeking up to 90% drop. The vacuum so caused has been filled by UP, Bihar, which has emerged as top contributors, shows a study by UAE-based organization. Okay, now the top 5 states by the number of workers sent to GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council, have been UP, Bihar, Kerala, West Bengal, and Tamil Nadu. The workforce migrating to GCC countries are typically aged from 20 to 40 years in the prime of their working age. The migrating workforce has been traditionally dominated by men, but the Hunter report has highlighted a substantial increase in participation of women, especially in sectors such as hospitality. Great guys, चलें. अब नेक्स्ट की तरफ चलते हैं. तमिल राइटर पेरुमल मुरुगन wins 2023 JCB Literary Prize for Firebird. So a novel named Firebird, which is written by Perumal Murugan, has won 2023 JCB Literary Prize. The book was published by Penguin Random House India. Okay, now it was a 5-member jury of JCB Prize, and said in a Firebird, Murugan takes a universal story of lives that are tied to lands and tell it with astonishing particularly. Janani Kannan's translation carries into English the rhymes not only of Tamil but of the entire way of being in the world. Great. Chaliye. A very good news. Global Fisheries Conference India 2023 starts at Science City in Ahmedabad. So this particular conference has started in Ahmedabad, where with the presence of Union Minister of Fisheries Purushottam Rupala. Now, India is the third largest fish producing country in the world, the minister said. Under the leadership of PM Narendra Modi, the inland fishing sector has grown by 3 times in the country, and ample growth prospects have emerged in North India in the field of inland fishing. Earlier, the Union Minister Purushottam Rupala inaugurated the exhibition showcasing cutting-edge fisheries and aquaculture technology as Science City. तो Science City में ये particular conference का inauguration हुआ. चलें. Senior UP cadre IPS officer Alok Sharma appointed SPG, that is Special Protection Group Director. Okay, so the government order that Mr. Sharma appointed has been approved by the appointment committee of cabinet, and Mr. Alok Sharma is a Uttar Pradesh cadre IPS officer and is currently Additional Director General of Special Protection Group and has been overseeing the force after SPG Director Arun Kumar Sinha died at Gurugram Hospital. ठीक है, तो उन्हें एक नया डेजिग्नेशन दिया गया है. चले अब Amit S Telang appointed as Indian envoy to the Caribbean community. So the Ministry of External Affairs announced that the High Commissioner of India to the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Amit S Telang, has been accredited as the Indian ambassador to the Caribbean community, and Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, Anil Kumar Rai, has been appointed as the next ambassador of India to the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Great. So Amit S Telang, नाम याद रखिएगा, appointed as Indian envoy to the Caribbean community. ठीक है, चलें. Freedom fighter, veteran communist leader N Sankaraiah dies at 102. So Shri N Sankaraiah has been a freedom fighter and has been one of the founding members of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, and has one of the tallest leader of the left movement in the country, and he passed away at the age of 102. Sankaraiah's journey as revolutionary began at American College in Madurai. His father wanted him to become a lawyer, but his participation in the freedom struggle led to his arrest days before his final examination. Right? He spent a total of 8 years in prison, both before and after independence, a time that shaped his belief in communism and social justice. His education remained incomplete. Chaliye. Now, International Men's Day. So people always say that we are celebrating International Women's Day. So we as an organization celebrate International Men's Day, which is celebrated on 19th of November. Now, what was the theme? Zero male suicide, which highlights the importance of helping men and boys to manage their mental health. November is a crucial month for men's soul and for creating a safe environment in which men can be vulnerable, right? Chaliye. अब Thomas Auster was the founder of International Men's Day in 1992. It has been conceived a year earlier. ठीक है? Now, so it was celebrated on 19th of November and theme was Zero Male Suicide. ठीक है? याद रखिएगा, Zero Male Suicide की तरफ बात करी गई. चलिए नेक्स्ट नेशनल न्यूज की तरफ चलते हैं, जहां पे we'll be talking about Russia says its plans to send cosmonauts to the moon next decade. So Russia have planned that for the first time in history and intends to build a moon base from 2031 according to Russian cooperation responsible for manned space flights. So US astronaut Neil Armstrong gained renown in 1969 for becoming the first person to walk on the moon, but the Soviet Union Luna 2 mission was the first spacecraft to reach the moon surface in 1959, and Luna 9 mission in 1966 was the first to make a soft landing there. Okay, तो चले. अब Kenya President Ruto, one of 4 Africans on time climate leaders list. So Kenya's President William Ruto has been named by Time magazine as one of the world's 100 most influential leaders shaping global climate action. Okay, Mr. Ruto was named alongside the mayor of Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown. Okay, and the ranking known as Time 100 Climate was released and is the magazine inaugural attempt to name those it sees as significant in highlighting and doing something about the issue of climate change across the globe. So he has been named one of the 4 Africans on Time Climate Leaders list. Chale. Bangladesh top court uphold ban on Jamaat-e-Islami. So Bangladesh highest court on Sunday upheld a ban on the country's largest Islamic party taking part in polls, lawyers said, as political tension worsened ahead of key January election. So Jamaat-e-Islami, a major opposition leader party with millions of supporters, was banned from contesting the elections in 2013 after High Court judges ruled that it has violated the secular constitution of Muslim majority nation of 170 million people. Okay, so this particular political party was banned in election 2014, 2018. So they moved to Supreme Court to challenge the order. But again, it upholds the ban on this particular political party that is named Jamaat-e-Islami. ठीक है? चले. France assures support to India, 3 other for permanent seat at UN Security Council. So France has assured a support to India, Brazil, Germany, and Japan for the permanent membership of UN Security Council, asserting its long-standing stance on reforming the Security Council. This particular 4 countries, that is India, Brazil, Japan, and Germany, are also the part of G4 political cooperative alliance who support each other's bid for permanent seat in the UN Security Council, and which is now being supported and have been given assurance by the France as well. Great. Chaliye. US-Philippines signed nuclear cooperation pact to bolster power supply. So this particular 2 countries has signed a nuclear cooperation pact under which US investment and technologies are to help the Southeast Asian nation transition to cleaner energy and bolster its power supply. The Philippines began building a nuclear power generating plant, the Bataan nuclear power plant, in the 1970s, but it was never completed after questions were raised about its cost and safety, including its location near a major fault and Pinatubo volcano. So it has signed a nuclear cooperation pact. चलिए लीगल अपडेट की तरफ चलते हैं. Now Supreme Court has issued directions to expedite adoption process. Have given the directions to state to conduct drives to identify children, establish adoption agencies. Now ये particular ruling कौन से केस में आई है? The Temple of Healing versus Union of India, in which the Supreme Court has directed the secretary who is responsible for the implementation of Juvenile Justice Act in all states to carry bi-monthly identification drive to identify children who were orphaned, abandoned, surrendered, so that such children can be enter the loop for the adoption process in India. Okay. Now the bench was Honorable Justice CJ D.Y. Chandrachud, Justice J.B. Pardiwala, and Justice Manoj Mishra, who directed all the states and the UT to ensure the establishment of specialized adoption agencies within every district by January 31, 2024. ठीक है, तो ये जो पर्टिकुलर आया है ये दो चीजों से रिलेटेड आया है. एक तो एक्सपेडाइट अडॉप्शन प्रोसेस के लिए, दूसरा टू कंडक्ट ड्राइव सो दैट द अडॉप्टिव द चिल्ड्रन हु आर सरेंडर्ड, abandoned, orphaned can be identified as in the adoption process, and who will be the adoption agencies. Now, Supreme Court has said when detention of accused is continued by court, trial must be completed in a reasonable time. Again, ये एक बहुत ही important judgment है when it comes to speeding up the trial process. And case का नाम है Arun Kumar versus Assistant Director and Directorate of Enforcement, where the court has stated when the detention of the accused is continued by the court, the courts are also expected to continue the trial within a reasonable time, further ensuring right of speedy trial guaranteed by Article 21 of the Constitution. और बेंच का नाम था जस्टिस अनिरुद्ध बोस एंड जस्टिस बेला एम त्रिवेदी. ये पर्टिकुलर वर्डिक्ट पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट के बहुत केसेस हैं जहाँ पे कोर्ट has been talking about on regular basis for speedy trial. करेक्ट. तो ये पर्टिकुलर केस को ध्यान में रखिएगा. चले अब Allahabad High Court reiterates Revenue Court cannot pass order using rubber stamp seal. Order sheet must be signed. So the court has stated about that revenue courts are not supposed to pass order using a rubber stamp seal, and as per the law, the rubber stamp seal cannot be used for passing the order, and revenue courts are not supposed to pass the order by using the rubber stamp seal, and the order sheet must be signed. And केस का नाम था श्रीमती सुमित्रा देवी वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ यूपी थ्रू प्रिंसली सेक्रेटरी रेवेन्यू डिपार्टमेंट लखनऊ एंड 4 others. इसमें कोर्ट ने टेक्निकलिटीज पर एक जजमेंट सुनाया है. चले, that's all for the today's news update and the legal news. आप लोगों की इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए हम लोगों ने डीजीएस की मॉक टेस्ट सीरीज चालू करी है, as well as on regular basis YouTube पर डीजीएस के सब्जेक्ट्स के मैराथन एंड क्विजेस भी कंडक्ट करे जा रहे हैं, which is LawSikho Judiciary Prep channel. Do subscribe to our channel. एंड अगर आपको ये मॉक टेस्ट सीरीज या कोई भी जुडिशरी के कोर्सेज से रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, सो डू कॉन्टैक्ट दिस पर्टिकुलर कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर. थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग दिस पर्टिकुलर टीएनए. अगर आपको ये टीएनए जरा सा भी इंफॉर्मेटिव लगा है विच हेल्प यू टू गेन नॉलेज, प्लीज डू शेयर विथ योर peer colleagues as well. Thank you for watching. Take care.